How'd you get here?
Well,
You're being-
actually, Mike's truck.
Whoa, is that the sheriff?
Oh, no, you're like me. We only have, whoa,
I took them twice.
who is that? Wait a minute. Stop sheriff's gonna be here.
Yeah, I don't get a spot.
What's that?
No, I don't either. Like, initial part, Carl's time.
I'm fast. I gotta get Nancy for sure.
And it's like, I get to really look at it. It's like, okay.
Not for any of you, he says.
Yeah, so it's.
I don't go there.
Hey.
Definitely just
Dress up for you
people,
people.
school and work and.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I am not. I am.
And it'll probably be, what,
Nephew.
or somebody gets up to look at it.
No, someone's gonna come while I'm at this meeting.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to call the Finance Committee of the whole order and join me in the pledge. please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Madam Clerk, the roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski, Commissioner Swaney,
Here.
Commissioner Weber,
Here.
Commissioner Engler,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell.
Here.
Commissioner Marino
Here.
and Commissioner Holt,
Here.
all present except for Commissioner Jazinski.
Thank you. Up next will be approval of the agenda. We'll start with general public comments on agenda items only. Then we've got a few presentations and special reports. We have Equalization Director Pete Preston, and then Commission on Aging Director Jen Crawford, and Human Rights Committee Chair Donna Giuliani. We have no appointments to boards and commissions. Under committee reports, we have about 9 business items to take care of. And then, no intergovernmental affairs, no administrative controller issues, no unfinished business, no new business. We'll have general public comment, open to any topic. And then announcements and adjournments. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll move.
Support.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have an agenda. Next is general public comments on agenda items only. Have anyone online?
Anybody on?
Nobody online?
I'm not seeing.
Oh. Okay. Seeing no one for general public comment, we'll get right into the presentations. And first up is Equalization Director Pete Preston.
Thank you. I just want to clarify real quick that Scott Cunningham is your equalization director. I'm your equalization manager, just to, if anyone's watching, don't want to overstate my, my position. Well, good morning. What I've provided you is the Equalization Study 101. This is what I presented to the Township Association. I believe in December, things get a little, fuzzy as far as timelines, in December and January. Well, it's for your perusal, but when it really comes down to the basics of what equalization does is that we record in our office, based on deeds, provided by Register of Deeds, the sales that happen in a community. And when we do that, we're looking towards the next year to provide your local unit assessor who's fully wrapped up. You're going to be getting your assessment notices in the mail soon. But we essentially establish for them a ratio, telling them if they need that based on our study, that their value should go up or down. With residential, we essentially are able to average the sales. Any given property, it's hard, between the assessed value and the sale price, what is the ratio? Is it coming up or down, or is the value going up or down? So for a particular unit, like Union Township, you have a whole lot of residential, or City of Mount Pleasant, you're able to just use sales there to determine if value is going up or down. In classifications such as agricultural, commercial, industrial, we don't get that many sales in a local unit to be able to have a statistically significant sample. So we have to go out and look at all those sale properties and see why they potentially sold for that one. Now, if it's a vacant agricultural piece with 50% tillable and 50% woods, we have a pretty good idea what the split is. But then you start adding houses and barns and And, we essentially establish a land value based on that. And this is all in there for you to peruse. But to give you an idea, we did a little over 400 properties last year. We did the sale properties first to establish what do we think the land value is, what's the contributory value of the structures on site. And then from there, we build out essentially what we think values are doing from sales. Then we go out in the field and we look at sample properties, agricultural pieces that haven't sold in a long time. And we value that based on what we learned, and we compare that to what the assessor has. Now, a lot of the pitfalls in that is new construction that may not be accounted for on the assessor's roll, or changes in acreage, splits and divisions and such. And so that's our coordination level with the local unit assessor. But we are, for the local assessor, I imagine the bad guy sometimes at the end of the year saying you have to bring values up 10%. And they're going to have to face that constituency in the spring when they do those values. But we're at essentially the 30,000 foot level. When we do it, the assessor is right down there, boots on the ground, meeting with the general public. So we try to coordinate best as possible. We do not massage numbers. The statistics speak for themselves. And in this, I slipped in a little bit. There's, if you flip through some of these pages, you'll come up with some of you are maybe used to from your local assessor property record card. And in there is a sketch and the level of detail that we provide there's a sample commercial industrial site, and then there's a sample agricultural piece. So we're looking at the heights of buildings, the construction type. We're looking at depreciation, how old is this building? It can be 40 years old, but been upkept. So we assign an effective age. So there's a lot that goes on in this. We've started capturing security cameras. It becomes a fixture. So we've started capturing that. Light poles, fences, rails, whether they have barbed wire. It gets to be a lot in the field. We've recently invested about $15,000 in iPads and software. So now, instead of going out there and you see me with this clipboard trying to write in the wind and the rain, we now have iPads and we make the changes directly in the field. We go back to our office and it automatically downloads. There's still work to do, but it's no longer me carrying, or I used to have this big, my normal wheeled case. I had another case that would carry along all those appraisals so when I'm out in the field. As far as communicating with the public, we do send out letters to all these sale properties and appraisal properties, letting them know that we'll be there, letting them know that our vehicles will be marked, that we'll be wearing vests, that we'll have ID badges on. Last year, I did about 85% of Isabella appraisal properties, and I expect to continue to do that until I get up to 100%, so that we do not have field staff out there without, it's difficult sometimes, the translation when someone sees something and they say it's that old, as opposed to me saying it's that old and relating it all the way through the study. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We don't bring in any revenue. We don't have a counter where folks are paying for things, but we do establish for the county, to the best of our ability, what the market is doing, relay that per the state requirements to the local assessor. When the assessors get done with their March border review, we will be pulling in all their data, and we'll make sure that they're in ratio. If an assessor is not in ratio, meaning between 49 and 50% of market value, it's the responsibility of the Board of Commissioners to then factor that local unit. And that's something that we haven't had to do here. I've had to do other places, but if they are not in ratio, it means the Board of Commissioners would spread across all, say it was commercial, they weren't in ratio, all commercial properties within that local unit. In the event that a county is not in ratio, then the state would do the same thing for that class throughout the county. We never want to get there and we will never get there. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. Didn't know really what the expectations here were to explain, but I think you'll find some interesting information in here. I would like to, there's the MTA, but then there's the leadership council of government. I'd like to present this as well at some point in the future and go through with them
How often is this study performed?
every year.
Every year?
Yep, and the equalization department is statutorily required that you have it, and that's, that comes all the way down from the 1897 Constitution. But yeah, annually we do it. Our study period is a 2-year period, so it'll end March 31st. So our study for 2026 will be for 2027. But for the 2 years preceding this March 31st will be where we get our data. So we're technically about a year behind in what the actual market is doing.
The Council of Governments met last week and they were looking for ideas.
Okay.
For presentations, so I'll get a hold of Tammy Prout.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna launch into this a little bit.
Oh, boy.
I know, so mostly on agricultural property, because you've seen a, $1,000 increase per acre on that. So what happens, we're starting to see a lot of land being transferred into trust or going back in an inheritance. When does that become uncapped, or doesn't it become uncapped if it's transferred to a trust or if it's inherited?
Only residential class properties are subject to the first affinity if it's a relation and such. And in those respects, it does not become uncapped as long as it's a first affinity. Typically with a trust and such, if it's sole ownership in an agricultural class, it wouldn't uncap. But again, each circumstance is unique in what that deed said and what that trust is. If it's revocable trust, is it irrevocable trust? There's a whole, it's a broad question with a lot of caveats to it. But with agricultural properties, if it's going to be kept in farmland, there's called the Public Act 260, which says, hey, I'm getting this property, doesn't matter how I got it. I'm filing this PA 260 that says for the next 7 years, I'm going to keep it in agricultural. If you split the old house off though and sell it as residential, 5 years into that, you owe 5 years of back taxes because you did not on just that portion that you took out. And that becomes a calculation feat sometimes. But Kayla Marchington does our deeds, and I feel like our office has calmed down in the last year, and I think the majority of that is that data entry and keeping that going. If you ever see anything or hear from one of your constituents about something's wrong on GIS, that's where you go to. Come to our office or have them call Kayla, and she'll research the deeds on it and get it right side up. But a lot of I like to mess with Excel spreadsheets and I like to be out in the field. I do not like to enter deeds because there are a ton, and there's a ton to know. And some of those caveats, we get attorneys that call in to ask for advice on how to do something, and we can't give legal advice, but it's just so complicated.
Okay.
I did provide in there an ag sheet that shows you land values that we think agricultural is at. And also we have a trend line that we use for commercial industrial. I'm quite proud of that. I will put that up to defend the commercial industrial land values against any other process. There's 83 counties in the state, every equalization department except for when they just do straight sales. When they're doing these appraisal studies, everybody's doing it different. Same rule book, everybody doing it different.
Yeah.
How is our industrial tax assessed for, say like the solar farms, and since obviously, so like the solar farm is something that large is new to our county.
Mhm.
So it's,
Those are now industrial, personal would cover wind turbines and solar. So that's filed from the actual owners of it. It's not considered a fixture of the land like an industrial building, which would be real property. So they file on an annual basis of personal property. There is now the PILT process, which allows if the communities want to get on board with that, to also do a payment in lieu of taxes, so that those solar folks and those wind folks do not have to file personal property. It's just based on a flat amount on the kilowatts. I'm not familiar with that
You're right.
process of it.
I remember that, we had flat amount on the kilowatts for the wind turbines. I didn't know if taking up the ag land or it's the solar is different.
Now there is, if you, again, we diverge from depending on the situation. So when a wind turbine is put on an 80-acre property, and it still retains its agricultural class. When solar goes on there and it takes up, more than 50% of the, area or the value, then the underlying property becomes industrial real. Now that's a change of use. So if someone did the PA 260, then did a solar farm, they may be obligated to pay those 7 years of back taxes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay,
Anybody ever has any questions, get a hold of me or Kayla, but things seem to be pretty good right now. We've transitioned with the townships for them to do their own tax bills. I know that's been a little bit of a hiccup. We've been holding firm with them and walking through it, and it seems like we had a heck of a lot less calls this winter tax season.
good.
Okay, thank you, folks. Again,
Thank you.
holler if you have any questions.
And Commission on Aging Director, Jen Crawford.
Good evening. So I do have a PowerPoint that I was gonna load in for us. So, perfect. I don't know, like, do you have to look that way, or is it's not on your screen? Oh, sorry. So, yes, there we go. So basically, the mission, I just wanted to share our mission with you so that you know it's to promote the health, independence, and fulfillment of older adults through the coordination and provision of diverse services and opportunities. So not only keep them independent in their homes, but also to provide fulfillment with all the different activities that we provide. Just a brief history on COA. We were formed in 1973. We are a department of the county. So back in 2023, if you remember, we did celebrate our 50th anniversary and had an awesome party for that, which is great. We are recipients of the senior millage, and it started in 2006. And thankfully, when it was established as a 10-year millage, which means that we are up for renewal this year. So in 2026, I'll be coming before you to request to be added to the August ballot to renew our millage. This is just a little snapshot of our staff. So every fall we shut down for a day and we do a retreat where we pull everybody together, and we celebrated having our pavilion here, and we did a lot of team building, and we also had a training that day. So just a glimpse. So we do have 37 staff, 21 full-time, 16 part-time here at the Commission on Aging. We are separated by 5 different programs. So I'm just going to give a brief overview of all the different programs today, because I don't think I've had the opportunity to really share about everything that we do here. And I think it's really important to share all the different facets. So we have our in-home, our food with friends, Joel Key Volunteer Activity Center, and then our foster grandparents, senior companion. So we'll jump right into our in-home services. So they are basically the hub of our services. When anybody calls and requests services, any type of services, they filter through our in-home program. So we have 3 full-time case managers or social workers, and a caregiver trainer support specialist who basically is also providing that case management. So when anyone calls for services, they filter through them. They will go out to the homes. They provide an assessment to see exactly what the individuals need. And then they pair them up with any of the services that we have here at COA that they could benefit from, or even refer out if they need it. They also do a lot of advocacy for our clients and their families. They do a lot of work with Medicare, Medicaid, and just other insurances, helping individuals and also helping families when they're facing nursing home placement of their loved ones. This little statement at the bottom, this is all of our programs and services basically. So it is based on need, not on a client's ability to pay. So we do not, income is not a factor in the services that are provided at all. Every Isabella County resident 60 and older is eligible for these services and has nothing to do with their ability to pay or either. We have 10 aides who go out into the homes of older adults and they provide personal care, respite care, and homemaking. So we have 10 of them. We have 2 full-time and 8 are part-time of those employees. Personal care is they go out and they help the aides that we have that provide personal care and respite care have a higher level of training. They have to have some type of SEMA type training. And so they are the ones that are helping with bathing and just those activities of daily living that individuals need help with in the home. Respite are those same aides. They provide both or dual. They do personal care and respite. And so that we have so many caregivers in our community that are taking care of loved ones and they provide respite or a break basically for those individuals who need help and some time away. So it could be, they may go for 3 hours, a week, and it just gives that caregiver the opportunity to go take a nap or maybe go shopping or go play golf or whatever it is, maybe come here and participate in some activities. But just to give them that respite, that break from the care and knowing that they're in the hands of someone who is able to take care of them. Our homemaking aides, they provide light housekeeping. So the individuals, they help with laundry and vacuuming and all the different types of care within the home for older adults. Again, services are just everything that we provide is a donation only. So if anyone is willing to donate, that we would gladly take it, but it is not required and they get the same service no matter. Some of the other in-home programs that we have are durable medical equipment. We try to promote this as much as we can. So basically it's like an equipment locker that we have here in our room. And we get equipment donated to us that is gently used, walkers, wheelchairs, all sorts of different things like that. So if you know of anybody who is ever, going to have surgery or something and they're going to need stuff like that, check with us. We never know day to day what we're gonna have because we just loan it out. It's for free. And we just ask that when they're done with it, they bring it back as long as it's still in good condition and we can loan it to somebody else because that equipment can get really expensive when you're having to pay for that. Our caregiver trainer, she's also does like the case management, like along with our other case managers. But in addition to that, she's the one that's working one-on-one with those families that are caregiving. A lot of dementia cases in our community that she's working with. So in addition to that, she provides a monthly support group for those caregivers and then also provides 2 trainings a year where she'll bring different speakers in, which are really wonderful. Our unmet needs program, with this program, we do not use any of our millage dollars or any of our property tax dollars at all, but we get a lot of individuals who are in need of help, like they have an emergency need, whether they can't pay for their prescriptions or they have medical bills or we've worked really closely with the treasurer's department and they've been referring 60 and older individuals to us that maybe have back taxes, they're gonna at risk of losing their homes. And so if we have funding available where we're able to help them, we do. So we get money from the 2%. We allocate some of our 2% funding towards those unmet needs. And then also we do get some reimbursements from Region 7 Area Agency on Aging for certain things. But then we also have a wonderful 501c3 that works right alongside of us called Friends of Isabella Seniors. And they do a lot of fundraising and they support that huge. I think last year they dedicated $80,000 to our organization to help individuals with unmet needs. Long distance caregiving, if we have some family members that live out of state, they can reach out to us and we can help or coordinate services, or if they have loved ones out, we help them, just connect them with resources in their community. And then also Medicare, Medicaid assistance is huge. And you hear us talking about Medicare Part D sign up every October to December. It is such a busy time and just requires a lot of knowledge. And we are so fortunate to have some really knowledgeable folks on our staff that can help navigate that really confusing paperwork and scary thing for a lot of people. And they really help a ton. Moving on to our Food with Friends program, we have both congregate and home delivered meals. So our congregate, these are where we're providing lunch for individuals in person. Anybody in our community over 60 years of age is eligible. We have 5 different meal sites. Here at Commission on Aging is our main site. All of our meals are made from scratch here every single day. And they just do an incredible job. I'm really excited when they try out new recipes and they call us down to sample. They just do really a great job with it. So here it's 5 days a week, and then we have 4 satellite locations. So right now we're at Rosebush Manor, which we'll be changing that location starting in October, just because of space. We're gonna move right next door into the church, the community church, to have a little more space for our meals. We'll still be providing meals on those days for Rosebush Manor, but we're hoping that we'll be able to welcome more of the community members because we'll have a little more room to do those meals and activities. So right now, Rosebush Manor, Shepherd United Methodist Church, the Wademan Senior Library, and also the Wynn Community Building. And then we do have agreements and contracts, which I bring before you every year, with these organizations to pay rent to utilize those spaces for that. At all of our meal sites, we provide not only a meal, but we also have wonderful meal site facilitators who provide and plan really wonderful activities. They bring in music and just games, or bingo is always a hit. So a lot of different fun things just to try to pull community members out to those sites. Because of course, you know, we definitely will provide a home delivered meal to somebody who needs it. But if someone is eligible to get out and able to get out, that's what we encourage. We want them to get out and socialize and be around other individuals. Typically, we serve about 300 meals a week at our congregate sites. Meals always are also a donation, just as all the other services as well. Our home delivered meals program. So this is for those individuals in our community who are homebound and not able to make their meals. Again, our social workers go out, they assess the needs and find out what the individual needs. And if they are not able to make their meal or get out of their home, we put them on our home delivered meals list if they would like, and they can get that. We deliver 3 days a week, and we have just some incredible volunteers who do this delivery because it's a lot. I think right now we have about 13 different routes, and we have some big ones, so we can always need more home delivered meal drivers for sure. But it's a wonderful thing. For a lot of these individuals, our volunteer that delivers that meal might be the only person they see that day. And so it also is, in addition to providing a wonderful meal to the person, it also gives a little comfort to those family members to know that their loved one has been, that we've seen them. Like we've seen them, we've connected with them, and they're doing okay. Of course, you know, we've had issues where volunteers have gone somewhere and somebody has not been okay. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, we've been able to help, either get help or whatever needs to be done for that. So with those, we do send out like a donation statements to individuals who receive our meals and also our in-home services, but again, it is donation only. And so our recommended or requested donation is $3.50 a meal for home delivered meals. We do serve about 1,000 meals a week for home delivered meals. So 1,300 meals a week are being made in our kitchen here every single day from scratch, and they just do a phenomenal job. Our Gold Key volunteer program, I mentioned our home delivered meal drivers. Right now we have about 300 active volunteers in our Gold Key volunteer program. They are the backbone of our organization here. I mean, we have a wonderful team of staff, but without the volunteers that we have, we would not be able to do near the things that we do for our community. We have folks that work in our kitchens. We have folks that work at our meal sites every day. They were just in there, so one just walked by, and I know they were packing the cold bags that go along with the home delivered meals. Transportation drivers, they go and pick up individuals in their homes and take them to their medical appointments if they don't have a way to get there. We have some that even take people to Ann Arbor. We just have incredible volunteers. I just can't even speak enough about them. So for both of our home delivered meals and our transportation drivers, we do reimburse them for mileage. That first 14 cents doesn't count against them for their taxes. It is for the volunteer rate, but anything after that, we just follow the federal rate, and anything after that would be taxable after they have $600 a year. But they're just incredible. Some of our other positions we have are the front desk. When you walk in here every day, you'll see we've got usually 2 people sitting there. We have shifts of 2 that are twice a day. So we have a morning and an afternoon shift. And these are all volunteers. They greet every person that walks in our door. They answer every phone call that comes in. Sometimes we're so busy that they're rolling over to us as well, answering. But this way, when folks call us, they don't have to hear a message, an automated message saying, push this number. They can actually talk to somebody. I think that's really important. We have our friendly visitor program. So if we have, when family members will say, you know, if somebody is pretty isolated and needs help, we have volunteers who just call them and just talk with them. I've overheard some of them doing that, and it's just, they're just so kind and compassionate. It's just really wonderful to hear that. Our needlecraft workers, they're in the picture in the middle. This group of mostly women, they make the most amazing quilts and lap blankets and walker bags and anything you could think of, they make. And then like twice a year, we are able to donate all of those things to local organizations that need it. And also they go back to some of our older adults as well, but just the love that they put into this is really wonderful. Helping Hands, we're always looking for more help with that, but this is where we have maybe, we have some folks that will go out if we need help changing a light bulb in somebody's home, or batteries in their smoke detectors, or installing those 911, the green 911 sign. They help us with that. But we're always looking for more help with the Helping Hands as well. Right now we're in our AARP tax program time, and so our building is also really busy right now with that. We are just basically the site, and then we help recruit volunteers for this. It's all trained and everything is through AARP, but they are providing taxes for free for individuals in our community. And I think they're in here 2 to 3 days a week, and their volunteers are just amazing. Medicare Part D, I already talked about that, but that's from October 15th to December 7th. I think in the last year, we served about 400 clients in that time and just saved, oh, actually it's on our thing. Yeah, they served 417 clients in 2025 and helped them find a savings of $235,731. So in addition to helping individuals find the program that works best for them, they also help them with savings. So it's really wonderful. And we put on a lot of different events or special projects, and they get recruits, they get volunteers that help with that. We do leaf raking every fall. And so we get a lot of student groups. We've been getting a lot of businesses that will reach out to us and say, we'd like to shut down for the day and have our staff come and help something or help on the weekends. And they've been going out to the homes of older adults who need some help with yard work and doing a lot of leaf raking in the fall. It's really, really needed. Our activity center. So that's all the stuff that you see going on here all of the time. Our place, I think when I first came here, I didn't know what to expect with the Commission on Aging. And I think what I had in mind was much different than what I see. It's so vibrant here. There's so much activity and a lot of older adults that are just having fun and just enjoying their time here together. They're doing line dancing down in room C at this time. And sometimes there's 20 to 25 people out there doing it, men and women. It's so awesome. Our exercise classes are so popular. We utilize the CMU pool for a couple of them. We do aqua Zumba and water aerobics. Those are 2 and 3 times a week. We do Zumba, again, line dancing here, yoga. There's a hula class that takes place on Thursday afternoons, and they're just so awesome to watch. And they'll come in and they even go around and do presentations, and it's beautiful what they do. Tai Chi is huge. I know I've talked about that in here already a lot, but that is a very popular class. We have such wonderful relationships with CMU, their Department of Physical Therapy. They come here every week and provide, it's called a MOVE class. It's unbelievable. I wish you could be here and see it. They're up and down our hallways. They take all of the spaces here. There's so many community members that come out to that, and they focus mostly on Parkinson's, but it's just movement for anybody, so anybody can come to it. And those physical therapy students are, they're so great at how they treat the older adults that are here, and they have so much fun, and they're throwing things and walking over stuff. And I just love to come down and watch it when they're here. So we're so fortunate for the relationships that we have with CMU. Our monthly painting class is always really popular. We have an instructor who comes from Lansing, and he's so much fun. But there's a lot of great things. So in addition to that, they also go on some trips. Marcy, our activities manager, does a great job of planning. They usually go to the Tigers game, and I always get jealous when I don't get to go on it. But they do a lot of really fun things. Just some pictures I just want to share. So that's Tai Chi. I know we wondered what it was like when I was here. So the bottom picture, that's actually what Tai Chi looks like. Just movement. We do our holidays, like we have a blast and our staff have a blast with everyone here. We dress right up with them, no matter what it is. And for Halloween, we're in costume with them, and Christmas, we we don't call them ugly Christmas sweaters because some really like them. But we get all festive as well. We wear our festive sweaters. We also do our annual golf outing. That's in conjunction with Friends of Isabella Seniors. It's the first Friday in August. It is a very popular event and a wonderful fundraiser for that group, which then in turn, like I said, that they really support our unmet needs. But the travel, they do a lot of different dinner shows, and they do a lot of really fun things. Just some more pictures of, we have so many musical groups that they do jam sessions here, and then even the groups that play here every week, ukuleles and dulcimers, and then they'll come around, and at the holidays, then they even perform little concerts themselves in room C for our guests, and they're really so great. That's our hula. The hula is up in the top right. We have so much fun with this, especially all the holidays. We have a blast here, and they love it too. We did last year, we kicked off our pavilion and had just an awesome event. We did an old car show, and we brought the Elvis impersonator, Jake Slater. This is the second time here, and we're bringing him back again this summer. He is a hit with everybody. He's really wonderful. So if you have a chance to come back, I know we're doing it in June, and we're going to do it right outside out by our pavilion again. That was a lot of fun and a great kickoff to the pavilion to celebrate having it. Our foster grandparent senior companion program. So our foster grandparent senior companion program, they're the only programs that we have that expand outside of Isabella County. We actually also reach into Clare and Gratiot counties. And in order to be a volunteer in these programs, you have to be 55 or older, and you have to meet income guidelines because they receive a non-taxable stipend. It is through the AmeriCorps Seniors, a federal program, and that's where that stipend comes from. And that non-taxable stipend doesn't impact the other funding that they may have. So it's a great, I mean, they're able to give back to the community and also receive that as well, which is really wonderful for a lot of them for their expenses. So the foster grandparent program, these are your foster grandmas and grandpas you see in schools and preschools, and they help provide one-on-one work with students and help the teachers in the classroom. And I mean, what better person to have in that school, in that classroom, to give a hug when needed, and they love it. So, and the schools absolutely love having this program there. The senior companion program, they have the same requirements as a foster grandpa, the foster grandma or grandpa. The only difference is these individuals go out into homes or into nursing homes. They're basically a companion or a friend to older adults who are isolated. Maybe do not have that companionship. Some of them, they'll bring them here to our lunches. They'll take them other events. They take them shopping to different appointments. Some of them will just read to them or play games with them. It's a great resource to have for those who need somebody. Oops. Here we go. This is our management team. Just in case you're wondering, so we have 5 managers that oversee all of the different programs. There's a lot of work that goes into each of these programs. There are a lot of grants that we apply for and have to monitor, and they just do an excellent job. I'm so fortunate to work alongside all of these ladies. And the passion that they have is so inspiring to me and the rest of our staff as well. They're wonderful. They're great. So that's basically just in a nutshell what our programs are. I did give you just a little sheet because I wanted to just do a general overview, but this is just some highlights from fiscal year 25. So it's just some of those stats that you can have, and so I won't go through all of them, but I had mentioned before, just we were looking back just because it is the village year. So in the last 10 years, we've had 26% increase in clients, 31% increase in hours served in our income program. And our meals program, we've increased 21% in the last 10 years. And I can tell you right now, just after the first quarter of this year compared to the first quarter last year, we've already increased our meals by 2,000 just from last year. So our numbers are going up, the need for service is going up. So that's not gonna change.
No,
So,
our population is aging.
yes.
Questions? Robert, just a comment, I was able to take care of or make use of the Medicare Medicaid assistance program last year. And they held my hand and got me signed up for Medicare, so
Awesome.
they're great. They're awesome. When you turn 65, you start getting bombarded by people that want to sell you something. It's really nice to be able to come here and have somebody that's not affiliated with, not trying to make
Yeah,
a buck off you, but
Yes.
trying to help you figure out what you actually need.
absolutely. Yes, we encourage everybody. When I first came here and I first heard about it, because I didn't know really that much about it either, but I had my parents come in. I mean, you need to come here, like, just to make sure what you have is the best thing for you. We encourage everybody to do that because it is such a complicated process and there are you see so many different plans out there and I can see where it would be so confusing.
Yeah, you can spend forever on that website and if you
Yeah.
could just be targeted to a certain area where they have experience, because yeah, it is complicated and there's so many choices out there that really helps.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And up next is Human Rights Committee Chair Donna Giuliani.
Hello,
Hi, Donna.
nice to see you all. I do have a PowerPoint, but I brought printouts if that's.
Okay.
We have,
Steve.
I had a good view. Oh,
hey, thank you
Open
for
out.
the opportunity
It's okay.
to present on the Isabel County Human Rights Committee. We have 11 different members and part of the newness of my role, I took over as chair in 2025. And so part of the newness of my role was not just finding a way to integrate the people on our committee into service, both to the committee and outside of the committee, but another part was probably the struggle of taking over from somebody who has been chair for 20 years and has all of the ideas about how things operate somewhere in her head, but had not communicated to me. So I got the opportunity to kind of not remake, but reconceptualize the inner workings of the committee. And so as we go through, one of the big things that we did is we made sure that all members of the committee had an intentional and productive role on subcommittees. One subcommittee was their focus, and the intent of their membership on that subcommittee was to produce. Thank you. So for 2025, last year, the focus was the workings of the executive committee. And in the executive committee, 2 of the 3 people were brand new to their roles. And so Nicole Hagel took over as secretary and I took over as chair. And then Laura Goulet continued as vice chair. We discovered, I discovered in 2025 that we had a slight hole in our record keeping. And I worked very closely with Julie. She was so patient, pointing out, in particular, we had a problem with the communication of our minutes and the recording of our minutes on the public site. And I'm happy to say for 2025 that she has every one of our minutes posted, but we did quite a bit of digging and got as many past minutes as we could up. We also undertook bylaw review. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the focus on incident reporting is inspiring a lot of changes for 2026.
Whoops, I jump ahead on you, Laura.
Yeah. And then the subcommittees we'll talk about more in a moment, but community engagement was also a place where we really wanted to focus more intentionally outside and an external focus. So this slide, the internal focus. Laura Goulet and Nicole Hagel really began working intentionally together. One of the things Nicole did as secretary was she created a Google Drive with as much information as we could resurrect from the 20 years previous to me and to Nicole. And so what we have is a very clear record of what has happened since 2025 and a slightly disorganized record of what has happened prior to 2025. I think that's just the nature of taking over. Record keeping, the minutes archives, thank God for Julie. We also started focusing on agendas as a working document. And so our agendas that we send to Julie that are then posted are more comprehensive than perhaps agendas usually are. And part of that is our intent to communicate externally exactly what it is we're doing and what we're talking about. Transparency is pretty important for our group. And another internal focus again is the tracing the path of incident reporting. And establishing going forward a different direction and handling of incident reports on the HRC. Additionally, internally, we began a bylaw review in April. And we started this process with looking at the challenges that we saw the board undergoing and seeking to adapt the bylaws to address the internal challenges that we saw with our group. One is engagement and the second is a skills gap. So because the members of our group are community volunteers, I think you run into a place. So one of our skills gaps is it would be really nice if we had somebody adept at social media communication. And that has been a consistent struggle in that I think doing social media correctly is difficult and it is not a skill set that anyone on our group has. Let's see, we also, so we sought to amend the bylaws to address those challenges. We also had incident reportings. We had 2 that came in 2025. And when the first one came in 2025, it indicated to the newly formed executive committee that the process for addressing incident reports previously wouldn't work for our new group and the way we were conceptualizing it. Essentially, we had 1 or 2 very dedicated people who jumped right in and did interviews and did a lot of work. There wasn't very much communication outward. The rest of the board didn't really know necessarily what was going on there. And the ability to effectively generate an end conclusion wasn't prompt. And that wasn't something that the 2025 version wanted to continue. So, and we have recently discovered in 2026 that there was an unofficial incident report turned in 2024 that none of us knew anything about. And that resulted in frustration with one of our community members being very frustrated, which is absolutely unfair, and it's not the point of the HRC. And so we are addressing and changing going forward. External focus, and this is really where the subcommittees come in. We have the law enforcement subcommittee, a disability subcommittee, the education subcommittee, and an event planning subcommittee. The goals of these each subcommittee does pretty drastically different work, but all advancing this concept of human rights. So the law enforcement subcommittee, for instance, we work very closely with our Director of Public Safety, Paul Loria. He comes to meetings regularly. I think Jim and Steve can both attest that he has a lot of contribution to the HRC. Sometimes we work as a springboard. Sometimes we work more proactively. So for instance, in the past, the HRC was very involved in the use of force policy that Mount Pleasant later adopted. There was evidence in the community that use of force was becoming a hot button topic. And so the HRC proactively did the research, pulled the journal articles, did the summaries, and pulled examples from other communities and helped Paul create a policy that could be ready for enactment when y'all asked for it. More recently, there was a case in Grand Rapids that brought up the potential need for an officer created jeopardy policy. And so part of our role in working with Paul is to pull together resources. So when and if he comes to us and says, we might need to come up with an officer created jeopardy policy for the city of Mount Pleasant, we can be like, this is what we know. And then we can work closely with him, just as a resource to help. So he doesn't have to create from the ground. He can create in a collaborative environment with members of the HRC that volunteer their time for that work. Paul has also been helping us create a process for the incident reporting. And so he just sat down with a piece of paper and sketched out, when you do incident reports, these are the kinds of things that a clean, quick report will get you. And he drafted a new report and policy for the HRC going forward with incident reports. Our collaboration with Paul is pretty invaluable to the committee. The disability subcommittee is useful in that the American with Disabilities Act is complicated. And when no one on our committee is a lawyer, but when we have community incident reports involving disability in some way, this is the group that volunteers to conduct the investigation. The nice thing about the disability committee is that it has HRC members on it who themselves have children with disabilities or themselves have disabilities. And so they take this work very much to heart. And the prompt solution of an incident report is, I think, best completed by people who are dedicated and well-read on disabilities. The education subcommittee, Laura Goulet is an integral member of this committee, and she's also our Mount Pleasant Public Schools rep on the board. And then the event planning subcommittee is a group that has taken over the planning of Let Peace Reign and other community engagements. And their focus next year is, we'll talk about it in a hot second. Community engagement, the Let Peace Reign. We are also doing an active focus on increasing presence in the community. We attend a ton of events, from parades to pop-up community organizations to Let Peace Reign, to events that are hosted by CMU, that I see many of you at routinely. And we are tracking attendance and engagement in those things. The Human and Civil Rights Committee, in our bylaws, in our charge, we have kind of a two-focus area. We have human rights on the United Nations level, which has become fraught with political moments lately. And then we also have a civil rights focus, and the civil rights focus connects us to the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act of Michigan. So what we have done as a group is really kind of brought our focus specifically to Michigan and the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, because we know what our purview there is, whereas we do not know what our purview is in an association with the UN. That's unclear, but what is very clear is Michigan statute. And so we have gone with narrowed back to what is very clear. The education subcommittee is really working on disbursement of the microaggressions grant. Thank goodness. The disability subcommittee with a focus on community engagement is this year focusing on strengthening our presence with the Special Olympics. The Special Olympics needs volunteers and needs our community to be very visible in order to feel supported and in order to feel like continuing in Isabella County is a thing they want to do. And the HRC can make that presence. And we do. And we're happy about that work. The event planning committee is both expanding our current list of groups and organizations that we are visible for, but we're also looking at curtailing it. So we have a long list, but our list in particular doesn't involve as many events providing outreach to people with disabilities in Isabella County, and that is a focus of the disability community to expand that outreach. What questions do you have?
I would love to see a draft of the new incident report. Or the
What?
new incident report.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We took it for spin run, like a kick the tires run, this first, in 2026 with, an incident complaint from a member of our community about access to parking, on CMU's campus, and the flagrant abuse of the 2 handicapped accessible parking spots by FedEx and CMU Printing. And the nice thing about the HRC is that when one of those reports comes in, we can seek to solve those problems before they escalate to, I'm calling the ACA, or I'm bringing in the ACLU. We can just take the report. We can talk to the person who is concerned. We can talk to members of the community like CMU Police that could perhaps solve this problem without a national moment. And we just facilitate that dialogue. Like, a big part of our role is solving problems in a local collaborative manner instead of escalating it to I need a lawyer. We could probably just solve this with a conversation. There was one at Celebration Cinema years ago where they resurfaced the parking lot, and when they repainted the lines, they were all in yellow. And we got a report that, like, they got rid of their handicapped accessible parking. And we're like, oh my gosh. And we called them and they're like, we didn't mean to. And the next day they had painted handicapped accessible parking that could have escalated to a big national news mess. And instead we made a couple phone calls and solved these problems locally before they escalate. I think that is in part what we do. But yes, we have some questions about the way it worked, our new version. So we would like to iron it out, but we'd be happy to share.
Okay. Don't see any other questions, but thank you.
Brian asked that I emphasize that we are a nonpartisan group and we have nonpartisan members. We have members across the ideological spectrum.
I think you brought up something that we struggle with, that's social media. And because it's such a wild west and anything goes out there to disinformation, how do you address that? Where do you go and how do you set something up that doesn't get out of hand? So if you
We have
get
that
figured
skills
out,
gap.
let us know if you get it figured out. We're still working on it, trying to figure out how to navigate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, and on to committee reports. And item number 1, Commissioner Sweeney, would you take that for us, please?
Consider ratifying and placing on file the February 13th, 2026 invoice list in the amount of $1,213,829.97. The February 20th, 2026 invoice list in the amount of $516,984.49. And the adjustments list dated February 12th, 2026.
Okay. Run us through those.
Sure. So for the February 13th invoice list, These invoice lists get sent out on Fridays, to all the commissioners. So they can have time to look this over in case there's any questions. Of that 1.2 million, little over 72,000 was for the general fund. Those items that were over 5,000 are what makes this list. We have our postage and processing, to CMU, our monthly equalization, contract to Preston Community Services, which we all just met Pete Preston here earlier. We had our snow plowing, for the month of January. Sheriff's Department, something else to note is we put in, a new furnace and, looks like AC at Central Michigan District Health Department. That was to GNS Mechanical. For Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works, they had a payment to Conley Security, for uniform security officer services. And then it looks like, the rest of Great Lakes Bay's, invoice list here that appear on here are their sub-recipient payments, which is quite common. We're gonna see these often. MRF, we have our weekly contracted labor to Manpower. We have, some, Herrick area renovations, recreation area renovations, sorry. That's for the big project that Parks is working on out there, with Isabella Corporation. Had some attorney fees paid out to Macomb County Treasurer by our treasurer's office. And then we had, 4 tax disbursements for 2025, paid out to all those local units that our treasurer's office has to pay out. Yes, sir.
So like, for example, on the Herrick Park area renovations, I know obviously there's a grant for that, but we have a match. How is the match reported when it's on these reports? Because
I don't think it is. I think what it is the bills come in, we pay them out, and then in the grant reporting is where that gets deciphered. And the actual grant reporting, those would be
Mhm.
questions for our Parks Director to get the nitty gritty, but I would be happy to ask her.
yeah, so I guess, the thought of mine is it's always a bit hazy when we report general funds and other funds and obviously it's a messy, complex situation where we've got 2% funding, we got grants.
Sure.
And then but we do have matches for those, and obviously, there's no intent to hide anything. It's just like, how is that reported, to us, I guess is,
Quite often with these grants, they're reimbursable grants.
yeah,
So that's where we're always gonna see the 100% of the project go through, go
Mhm.
through here. And then when they do the grant reporting, that's when we would see, that percentage. And, the reimbursable part would be coming in and of course back in our revenues, but,
Right.
to see the nitty gritty of that, we would wanna ask the Parks Director then to, I guess, to, maybe for the FSRs, the financial status reports, maybe to see them.
yeah. I just was wondering how we, would report them publicly to show that, yeah, this is general fund or.
We should put them on our website. Some other county clerks do that too. And then it's, you're being open to the public and they can just click on a link and go and see all the grants that have been awarded
Right.
to that county and what they're going for. And they may better understand the financial aspects
Right.
that you guys are approving at the board.
Right. It would be,
Okay.
it's good both ways, because it's like they see us approve, $250,000 funds for Herrick Park or whatever, and know that, okay, we're paying whatever it is, 25 or 75,000 of that in a match. To have that public understanding. Sorry.
Any other questions on that invoice list? Okay, we'll go on to the next one, the February 20th invoice list. That one was 500,000, just a little over. General fund had a big portion of that, pretty much half of it, 500,000 of it. Items to note were outside accounting services to Maynard Custarian. They are helping us do audit prep work for the GASB entries that need to be made. Those entries have typically always been farmed out. There's quite detailed, and there is a lot that goes into them that we just don't have the expertise on. but we're getting it. So I'm hoping next year that I'm gonna maybe be able to do a few of these myself in-house. But I thought it was in the county's best interest this year to still farm those out. So that's what that one
I
is.
think over the last several years, we used far less outside accounting services.
Yeah, we're getting better.
Did, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
The county's getting better. That's my goal, is to, continue to gain more knowledge and be more of a resource, to keep things in-house. We have our HATS bi-weekly animal control contract. Payment to legal services for Warner Norcross. We had some generator repairs to Wolverine Power. Consumers, just normal monthly utility bill. We have Siemens Industry. It's a data service agreement out to the jail. We've got a judgment payment that the clerk paid out. Again, Manpower, weekly contracted labor. We've got our monthly medical services contract for the sheriff out at the jail for WellPath. Treasurer paid out sales proceeds to Janet Kimbo Trust. And then we have our day treatment monthly contract payment. And then to McBride Quality Care for day treatment. And then we have 2 more payments to McBride Quality Care. One is for directly supervised care for the child care fund. And then we have a quarterly contract balance payment that we made to them. Is there any questions on those payments?
Explain to Renee, would be nice, go to real quick so you guys understand. This doesn't happen that often. And this would be Judge James, who had this money in escrow. So it's not coming out of general fund. It's not coming out of the county. This is funds that they had to hold for the defendant and then release them upon the decision made by the judge. So. Thank you.
Any other ones for that list? Okay, we'll go on to the February 12th adjustments list. Again, things that hit this adjustment list are anytime we've sent out the invoice list to you folks and we changed the dollar amount on an invoice. And some of these are because we found a calculation error or somebody accidentally entered sales tax, so we removed it. Those are the type of things that are going to hit here. And then we you're going to always see utilities and credit card payments on here. Those are just hard to get those turned around in time. And we want to make sure they're getting paid so that we're not paying any late fees. So you see that. Another thing that's a good thing that hits this list as well is when we can take early discount payments, we'll definitely do that to save the county some money. So Point Oil offers us an early discount payment, and so does Gordon Foods for the sheriff's office, and sometimes we can get them in there for COA, but it's tight now with our turnaround process for her. But just wanted to mention that those are the things there are good things that do hit this adjustment list. So so for the January 30th, you see on there, then we've got the utilities. We've got a couple that one of them, a big one, we removed some sales tax. Obviously paid the utilities and the credit cards on time, added Gordon Food Service. For the February 6th invoice list, looks like we had some calculation errors, entry errors, nothing major, but our finance team is catching those things and we're getting them adjusted before those checks go out so that they are correct. We had an AT&T payment for Great Lakes Bay that just too tight of a turnaround period, and we just needed to get that on there to get them out. Central Dispatch was able to get their new vehicle from Berger Chevrolet, so we did a COD payment on that, and that was paid with 2% tribal funds. So I'm very thankful for that. And then we had a Gordon Food Service again for early payment discount that we wanted to add. Any questions on the adjustments list?
Yeah. Thank you. And we'll move those items to next week's meeting. And item 2, Commissioner Weber, would you take that for us?
Yep, consider authorizing the Isabella County Sheriff's Office to implement the following fee adjustments. $10 fee for all notarizations performed by the Isabella County Sheriff's Office. Increase the live scan fingerprinting fee to $25 for individuals who live or work in Isabella County, and establish a $50 live scan fingerprinting fee for individuals who live or work outside of Isabella County.
Okay, And we had the sheriff here live. He got called away, but we do have him online.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, perfect. Sorry, headed to Lansing for the Lower Peninsula MMRMA Law Enforcement Committee meeting, so I had to get on the road.
Yep.
So yeah, we've been doing these fingerprints and the gun registrations, and you can see some of the numbers. They've really jumped up. We do a lot of them, and it's just been strange. We've had a lot of out county residents coming here. Partially because a lot of the other counties don't only schedule them 1 or 2 days a week, and there's a cost to them. So we're just seeing this influx, and we're trying to perform a community service and provide these services to these folks. But at some point, we need to probably recoup some of our lost time for our staff. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to process some of this stuff. We have live scan equipment that we have to maintain. We have notarizations that we have to pay for, and stamps, and for those notaries and stuff. So we don't want to stop doing it necessarily, but I think we do need to recoup some of our costs. It's not going to generate huge dollars, but it will help us offset some of those costs.
Yeah. Any questions? All right. It does make sense to at least help recoup our costs and not lose time and money on providing a service for folks, so.
Yes, absolutely. Especially those that are coming, from outside of our community. And yeah, I just think it makes sense to, and it's not uncommon. Other agencies that do this, they do charge for those things. For the gun registrations, we can't charge for that for statute, but we can charge for that notary fee of $10. And again, that kind of captures that funds to keep their notarization licenses and certifications up, and the stamps and so forth that come with it.
Okay. Any questions? All right, I see no questions, Sheriff. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, and item 3, Chairman Engler, would you take that for us?
I sure can. Consider approving the fiscal year 2025 Emergency Management Performance Grant Agreement in the total amount of $5,830 and authorize the board chairperson to sign the same. And yes, that is not a typo. We get to go back in time every year on this grant, so.
Yes, we do.
A ton of paperwork too. I appreciate you.
Yeah, it is.
Applying for it.
It's like a 36-page document that we have to do every year to do this. But the one thing I want to mention is that every year previous for the last 5-6 years, the amount has been going down. Unfortunately, this is coming from the federal government to the state emergency management department, and then it's filtered out to the whole state. So this year it was about 8.5%. I've seen it back 15 years ago, 10 years ago, where it was 30%. So it's continuing to go down, but it's still not, low enough to where I don't feel like I can just discard it yet. So it is what it is, and we just continue to do it so we can get a little bit of recoupment for the coordinator position. So.
Yeah.
is there a cost per page or
Just
where that would be cut off?
Yeah. So it's like I said, it's 36 pages
Yeah,
long.
it's so
So
complicated. I always amazed that when you guys do it, but I said the amount keeps going down, but
yeah,
it's still worth going after, so.
yeah, it is. And so we're gonna continue to do it as long as they don't knock it down to like $10 or something like that.
Right.
We'll keep doing it. So.
Okay.
Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No?
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
All right, brings us to item 4, Commissioner Campbell, would you?
Consider approving fiscal year 27 budget calendar as presented.
And here's the budget calendar in your packets. You want to speak to this or?
Sure, there's not too much, that's different in here other than, from last year, comparing last year, other than, Brian and I talked to all the department heads at our department head meeting and elected officials last Thursday when we meet once a month. And we just let them know that last year we had an extra set of meetings in there. We kicked it off with meeting with all of the departments to see where they were at in their current year budget. And the reason for that was Brian came in December, I came in January, and we weren't a part of your budget. So we just want to try to get a little bit of understanding about, you know, how the department heads got to where they're at, how they're feeling, that kind of thing. So this year we cut that out. We made it clear to them that they are welcome to come to us anytime they want throughout the year with any budget concerns. No need to wait for us to schedule meetings like open door policy, pick up the phone, shoot us an email. We're here for you. So we cut that part out of it. And then we just stretched a few other places in there where we had some wiggle room to stretch it out, just to give. Some of it is an area where we're giving the department heads more time to work on their budgets, gather information. Keep in mind, it's tough sometimes, right? We're working on fiscal year 27 and they're having to reach out to vendors going, what are you going to charge me a year from now? And, you know, it's tough. So trying to give them some wiggle room. There's some other spots in this that gives me a little wiggle room to input all of that information, to gather the data for the biggest part for me. That's an individual part that I do for this budget would be gathering the wages and fringes. And of course, we know that one's tough, right? We don't even get our health insurance rates for the next year until June. So we kind of just do an estimate. We say, okay, we get a hold of Lisa Hoppy with Acrisure and we say, what are you seeing? And then we do our best guess there, give that information to our departments for, you know, to input into their budgets. And then come June, when we really get the information, then we go back to work, we update all those numbers. So there's nothing too new in here at all. Nothing, I guess nothing is new, other than we cut that one part out and we stretched some pieces in here just to kind of help us out. One thing I came across I thought was really interesting, and if I can get it ready for you next week for your board meeting, it's just something for you to look at, nothing to vote on or anything like that, but it was kind of neat. It was the deliverables about what's really happening on these dates that we have on here. So I thought it was kind of neat, and Brian did too. So if I can get that ready for you guys, I'll have a little handout. Maybe we can just pass it around, or I'll just email it to you folks so you can see it. But it was kind of neat, just so that you guys have a better understanding about what the team, and I don't mean team as far as just Brian, admin. I mean the team as in every single department had elected official, their team, individual teams who are helping with this budget process. You know, this isn't just an admin thing. This whole process right here is all of the elected officials, all the department heads, all of their main team members who are helping with this. So it's kind of neat to see all the hard work that goes into it. So I'm hoping to have that for you next week. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just like you said, it's similar to what we did last year. I know in the last couple of years, we've really stretched this out and tried to make it more inclusive. We're still kind of working on how to do some of this stuff. So I know if there's any requests to the auditors, you need to get that. And we can get that back to them before the process goes too long. So if any of the board members have any questions or something, so we can get that to them and try to explain it before we get too far in the process. So I'm trying to open it up more and try to do it a little bit different process than what I'm used to with some other organizations. So
We've stretched it out, but we've also shortened it up on the tail end to where we're approving a FY 27 budget on September 15th. I know it's been a few years, but we were doing that real close to October 1st. And a couple of those times we had some discord on the board about what direction to take. And we're kind of under the gun at the end of September. So in case that happens, we move this back to September 15th, where we're approving the fiscal year budget. So that helps, gives us a little breathing room.
yeah.
Yep.
That way we have a lot more time to discuss the budget if there's, you know, like you just said, if there's some kind of major.
Before we were getting to the
issue.
deadline and it was getting
Yeah, this lets us
kind of
put
rushed,
it
and
together.
this will give us time to really dig into it. So
if I may say, I know I've been really talking today, but, you've made it so smooth, Brian, and you are. I'm not a numbers person. I will be the first to tell you this, but kudos to you guys because that open door policy has been amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Good.
Very smooth process. Do you appreciate
Good.
it?
I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
That is good to hear. And we'll move that to next week's meeting and item 5, Commissioner Marino, I think it's your turn.
Okay. Item 5, consider approving budget amendment 2026-13 BOC for temporary premium pay for direct care workers and authorize a board chairperson to sign the same.
So this budget amendment, you've seen these come through several times now. We're blessed with the area agency on aging passing down awards to us, and they used to do it, was it quarterly, John? So, and now it's kind of like all over the place. So I held on to this first one when Jen got it. There's 2 of them here. 2 different periods. One of them covers October to January 31st. And that award was $3,653. And then the other one that came in, just came in, that award covered February through April. And that award was $10,970. So budget amendment wise, I combined this to bring to you folks. And so this is that premium care that goes to those direct care workers that Jen just talked to us about. And it helps give them a little more money.
Okay. Questions on that? We will move that to next week's meeting. And next one is item 6. Mr. Swaney, would you take that?
Consider approving budget amendment 2026-14 BOC to increase budget for on-call stipends previously approved by the Board of Commissioners on 10/7/2025 and authorized board chairperson.
So this is the budget amendment that accompanies that that will take care of that those stipends that the PA's office brought to you folks. That they get a stipend for holiday pay, and then for if they work, you know, for holiday falls when they're on call, and then that weekend. That's what that's for, that you folks approve. So this is the budget amendment to adjust our budget to reflect that.
Okay, any questions on that? If not, we'll move that to next week's meeting, and that will bring us to item 7, Commissioner Weber.
Consider approving budget amendment 2026-15 BOC to adjust indirect costs and defined benefit to Isabella County.
Okay, this one is for, like we just said, for Great Lakes Bay. When they brought their budget and we worked on it, you guys brought them on as of October 1. So we brought their budget on as it was. They had a balanced budget. We brought it on. We put it in our system, but in looking at it, we could tell right away that their indirect costs were off. They were, the way they had their numbers were different from how Isabella's are. So, and same thing with defined benefit. The defined benefit expense that they had was based on what they were previously paying at Saginaw County. So we want to get this adjusted to what it is for Isabella County. So that's what that does. So it increases their indirect costs to get that number. We're going to bring it up by 142,000 to get it to the total that it's supposed to be, which is roughly 203,000 per year. And then you can see that we're decreasing their defined benefit retirement expense because that was based on Saginaw County's way higher. And then they also had Saginaw County had a separate line item called computer services processing, and that was like an indirect cost as well. But obviously for us, we just have one indirect cost line, so we're going to decrease that, and we upped it over there. So just right sizes their budget based on Isabella County instead of Saginaw County.
Yeah, if you remember the defined benefit was different the way Isabella County handled.
Very
it.
different.
That's why it was such a good decision to move to Isabella County, and it benefited both the county and
Absolutely.
Saginaw Bay. So
And they have been wonderful to work with. Their team is great. So far so good. I'm looking forward to having them. They're already reaching out about because they knew the budget calendar was coming up and Ray and his team have already reached out like, hey, what do we need to do? And I let them know, we'll have a budget workshop. So we're gonna actually get to meet them face to face. The rest of the Isabella County team will get to. So looking forward to having them, be a part of our normal processes. And I think they're settling in pretty well. So
They are pretty happy with the whole arrangement, I can say that.
good,
Yep,
good.
Yep.
We're happy to have them.
yep. So, okay. We'll move that to next week's regular meeting. And I believe that brings us to item 8.
Consider approving the preliminary fiscal year 25 fourth quarter financial report and administration approved budget amendments.
Okay, so just want to point out again, these are preliminary, right? As far as our fiscal year ending, our quarter ending 9/30 of 2025. Audit is not complete. There are audit entries that will post yet. Those GASB entries I talked about, some of those, one of those, in fact, I'll point out that'll make a difference. Let's start with our revenue report. One of those GASB entries definitely posts to our taxes. So it's definitely going to change some of these numbers. Because if you look at this for taxes at the very bottom there of the revenue page, it says we're only 51% basically that we've collected, but that's not necessarily the case. So there's audit entries that go in. Just want to make sure everyone knows that because these numbers, of course, will change once the audit's complete and then we'll get finalized numbers. So taking a peek at these, this is for year end and quarter end. We finished pretty good. As far as looking at just the overview of things for our revenues coming in and whatnot. Some of them come in over. Interest and rents usually do, interest especially. We just kind of never, that one's a tough one to budget for, right? Because we really don't know where the rates are going to fall, but our treasurer's office does such a great job of investing our money and taking good care of everything. So really happy to see that. Charges for services are up a little bit. That's great. Fines and forfeitures are up. That's awesome to see too.
When do you think we will see the additional revenue put in and have the tax?
The last of it. So our, by state law, our audit has to be completed and filed with the state of Michigan by March 31st. So it's coming right up.
Okay.
Won't be long. Andrea and Andrea, our other accountant in the office and finance that works with me, her and I each have just a couple more items we're working on and to provide to the auditors. And we just received our testing list. So we're hard at work at pulling all those transactions and sending them off. And that process is going really well, by the way, with Clark Schaefer Hackett. They have been great to work with. So really liking that. And you folks will get an audit presentation. Of course, when that audit's complete and part of your process is accepting that audit too and placing it on file. So, any questions on the revenues? What we see here? Okay, I'll go on to expenditures then. I wanted to point out here the very first line there. It's Department 000. That's not a department we budget for at all, of course. We found identified and fixed quite a few, adjusted quite a few liability balances that stem from payroll postings that hit our payroll fund and it hit our self-insurance fund. Those are supplemental life insurance that employees pay for, some disability, retiree portions of health insurance and life. Those things weren't hitting correctly and they hadn't been, it looks like, for maybe, I don't know, it was multi-years. So Andrea found those, asked my permission, like, how do we do this? Do we correct it? I said, absolutely. It's all going to have to hit in this fiscal year we were in 2025. So, but I wanted it right and I wanted it corrected. So we got that fixed up and things are posting correctly now and being accounted for a little bit better. So that's why you see that wonky one there. So taking a peek down through here at the other departments, everything, excuse me, coming really well. We come in overall under budget on those expenditures. All the departments did a great job, I think, of managing their expenses and not spending the money that they didn't absolutely need to. I think that's a great thing too, instead of just here's your budget. Yes, we approved it. And then look at it and go, oh, I've got a little bit of money left over. Let me go spend it on something. Our team doesn't do that, and very thankful for that. So,
That's good. A lot of entities do that.
yeah, and that's a
They
shame.
spend that cash before it's gone, but there's not one line that's over budget.
No, we did really well.
Mhm.
You're scared of her. Don't you?
That's good then.
No, it's a good team effort. The department heads and elected officials are great
Mhm.
about managing their budget.
And there has been a lot of changes with the new administration, the finance director, the way everything goes, and it's been, a little bit of a struggle just doing a different system, the way people do things differently, but I think it's worked really well, so.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think overall it is going well. I think Brian would be getting a lot more calls about his finance director. So hopefully no news is good news, right? So the last page, this is our special revenue funds and our proprietary funds, or otherwise known as enterprise funds. So these ones, you guys budget these based on a fund level, not on a department level or specific line item. So one thing I always want to point out on this report, it's wonky, but I do not want to export these reports out of BSNA into a spreadsheet and edit them. I want to give them to you exactly as they come out of our system. So one of the things that's wonky on these is if you look to the far right, it says % budget used. So let's just look at Parks and Recreation because they're the first one listed there. So we can tell that their revenues, 87%, expenditures, only 65%. So great. That is awesome. But then if you look at the next number, it's always misleading. For sure, especially if you get down here and look at some of these other ones, that the net revenues of expenditures isn't always an accurate percentage. So just want to point that out. The percentage itself, the way the SNA calculates this is kind of funny. So what I look at as a finance director is I'm looking at that percentage listed for revenues and I'm looking at the percentage listed for expenditures. That's what I'm focusing on. So everybody come in real well. Some of these, there will be, I think audit entries will impact just a couple of these funds. So some of these are subject to change as well, of course. But overall, everything looked really good to me. So you'll notice, oh no, not on this one. It won't be until our next first quarter that we'll see Great Lakes on. Any questions on these special revenue funds?
Just one real quick,
Yes, sir.
you got the opioid settlement, how is that actually how will that look going forward or not? I mean, we haven't really spent the money yet.
Right, it's still sitting there.
Still sitting there, so
So it's drawing interest, obviously.
is that gonna be a separate department heading type deal, or how do you expense that?
It is its own fund. It is on here. It's on the first page of the other funds down towards the bottom, Fund 284. So what you'll see is once we start spending money, right now you see expenditures are 0. Once they determine that committee determines, what they're going to start spending those funds on, now you're going to see revenues. I mean, revenues are revenues, whatever coming in is coming in there. But as they start spending money, you're going to see that number increase from 0, right? So then you're gonna have a different number for net revenues of expenditures. That's where that's gonna
I just want to know
pan
if that's
out.
gonna be separate.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, and it has been, the state of Michigan required, counties and cities to all municipalities, to put that opioid money in its own separate fund.
Well, that won't be like the grants where it has to have a separate accounting.
All of these special revenue funds, they do have their own chart of accounts and everything. I mean,
Right.
they share it just like,
But like with federal grants, we have to have a separate,
yes,
these, okay.
yep. And it's accounted for separately.
Okay.
So if we ever need to see detail, no problem, I'll just print a detail, this exact same report, but we would print it in detail.
Great.
All right. There are no more questions. We'll move that item to next week's meeting. And item 9, consider approving the fiscal year 26 first quarter financial reports and administration approved budget amendments.
Okay, so first quarter, this is of fiscal year 26. This is September through December 31st. We'll start with revenues. Some of these revenues look, if you look that we should be around 25% completed in our budget. Some of these are over, some of these are under. We want to keep in mind, some of this stuff is timing by what time of the year it is. For example, taxes, we know that, collecting a bunch right now, more will be coming in July. Let's see here. Interest and rents is hitting right about where it should. Licenses, permits are down. It shows that we're only at 12, almost 13% budget. But I would assume that's because of the time of the year. So I think permits are probably gonna go flying, once we get the better weather in the spring. So those are the things to keep in mind. Nothing really stuck out here to me that I was concerned about at all. So I thought everything looked pretty good there for revenues. Is there any question on those revenues? Yeah, your sheet.
Check. We'll move that to next week's meeting.
Well, we have to do expenditures.
Oh,
We gotta
sorry.
do the bad part.
The fun part.
Yeah, we gotta talk about the other part. So the expenditures, so again, 25% completed. If you take a look down through here, some of these are gonna hit a little higher. It just depends on timing of the year. For example, some departments have annual contracts that renew in that first quarter. And they budget for them. And so all of a sudden you look and you're like, whoa, they're at 40-some%. Well, it's probably just because they renewed their contract and it hit in that quarter. So nothing stuck out too crazy to me at all. Some of these are 0% used. That's because the time of the year hasn't come yet where we have to pay those out. For example, like substance abuse, public health, those kind of things. It's not time to pay those out yet. So. But nothing looked too crazy here to me. I thought everything was looking really well, looking good. Department heads again and elected officials do a wonderful job managing their budgets, and it's been going really good so far. And if we look at our overall general fund at the bottom, we're supposed to be around 25% budget, and we're coming in at 26 overall. Couldn't ask for a better number to see sitting there. So. Any questions on those general fund expenditures? Okay, next page is the revenues and expenditures for our special revenue funds and our proprietary funds. Everything looks great there. Again, keep in mind that weird percent used for a total there is kind of different. One thing to note on here is on the first page, Fund 276. Now you actually see Great Lakes Bay Michigan Works because we brought them on October 1. So, and take a look at how big that budget is. That was, they have a very big budget to manage. So, great group of people again who do manage their budget. They watch their items really closely. So, really happy again to have them. I didn't see anything too crazy here. Does anybody have any questions on those ones? The first quarter? Okay. All I have, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And now we will move that to next week's meeting. And brings us down to general public comments. General public comments, yes.
Taking my county clerk hat off here. I am a member of the HATS executive committee, and I'm just putting this into your heads right now, just so you can help us figure this out. In January, we took in for Isabella County, 12 dogs from a gentleman. He is going through the court system again and everything, but this has caused a huge amount on our budget that we have. So we're trying to figure out how we are going to be able to recoup those funds because it had plummeted us $20,000 to $30,000 for these dogs. The community has been amazing, helping us with donating crates and donating food and all that, but it has really hit our budget. So I just want to let you know that we'll be coming, or probably send me, to speak to you guys in regards to things that we can possibly do to assist us with that budget deficit. If it's something we have to go restitution, or if we need to speak to the prosecutor or what, but we want to bring it to your attention now so that we can all start working on it. Because this isn't something that has to take on, but this was thrown on to us. Through this guy who the first time only received a misdemeanor. And at that point, that was 32 dogs. Now it's an additional 20 dogs. And so we can't let the budget continue like this. So just want to put it in your ear right now.
Hard to run an operation too, when you have that kind of influx of that many animals coming in at one time. Thank you. Any other general public comment? And seeing none, announcements, any announcements? Hearing no announcements, that I will adjourn this meeting at 11:45. Good job today.
And awesome.
Thank you.